on this Saturday night in Miami. Guess what? Roof open. Rolling windows open as well. Outdoor baseball tonight in Miami. The Atlanta Braves and the Miami Marlins. A wild one last night. The Marlins won 12-11. Just trying to win a series. They've won 6 of the last 7. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Now, normally we stand here and tell you what we think's going to happen. Last night we were way off. There were 8 runs total scored in that first inning, and when it ended, it was a wild one.
You know, it's one of those games. I know we're getting toward the end of the season, but it's one of those games, if it happens in the middle of the season, it's a great team builder because everybody contributed, and it was a tremendous win.
The Marlins have built themselves a really nice September, especially offensively. Yeah, last night, 12 runs. But the whole month has been good.
You know, when you look at what this ball club has done in the month of September, you go back, they've won 15 games, the winning percentage terrific. How about the offense? Everybody's contributed. Prado, Gordon, Bohr, Yelich, Rojas, Dietrich, Real Muto. Marcelo Zuna's gotten some big hits, so everybody has contributed. The pitching has done a good job. The starters have allowed the bullpen to settle into more regular roles.
Starting pitchers tonight. 2 pretty good ones. We start with a young one for Miami. Justin Nicolino, the last time he saw these Braves in Atlanta, he pitched well.
He has to draw on that start because he pitched well against Atlanta back in Atlanta. He didn't have such good luck his last time out against Washington. A big 3-run homer by Tyler Moore really hurt him, but 6 hits, no runs in his 7 innings at Turner Field. He kept the ball down, which is what he needs to do.
Julio Teheran is an ace for these Atlanta Braves, and especially when he pitches against the Marlins.
You look at his career against the Marlins. I'm going to go one better. Here at Marlins Park, he's 4-1 with a 282. And remember, he was the opening day pitcher for the Braves when they beat the Marlins here.
And you know what? The roof was open for that game. D. Gordon, the chase is on. Got a week to go. Gordon trying to run down Bryce Harper for that batting title and a few other things the second baseman can accomplish. night sky. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine.
All right, Rich Waltz, thank you very much, and good evening again, everybody. Talk a little D. Gordon here, who last night tied a Marlins record. Hanley Ramirez, 24 is the number. That's the number of 3-hit games in a season. Hanley did it in 2009. 24 3-hit games.
Yeah, and also leads the major leagues in that number as well. You see his speed come to front and center last night, beating out that ball to first base. Freddie Freeman had a nice play on it, but beat the pitcher to first base. Another 3-hit night for Gordon. Another stolen base. Creeping up on Billy Hamilton, who's on the DL right now. He can overtake him soon.
There he is, D. Gordon, getting set for some baseball in this ball game tonight. And let's look at the diameter. Bryce Harper moments ago struck out, so he's at the 337. He's 2 for 4 in this ball game tonight with a 5-point lead. He entered with a 4-point lead into his action today.
I tell you what, when you get this many at bats in this time of the season, they both have well over 500 at bats. The average doesn't move a whole lot either way, so you really need the guy ahead of you, Bryce Harper, to struggle for a few games to come back down toward D, and he just keep hitting.
Yeah, that kind of happened because a few days ago it was 11 points, wasn't it? And D's got to do, as we saw the other day, he went 3 for 6 and only went up a couple of points. We'll be looking at the denominator throughout the rest of this season here as he tries to win that stolen base title, which may be easier because the guy he's going against, as Jeff mentioned, will not be playing anymore this season. Game 2 is coming up here at Marlins Park next.
Let's go places. By Checkers, epic meals, epic deals. And by AutoNation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. Live shot downtown Miami. Now, there are some dark clouds around, but the roof is open. There's some blue skies in the area as well. So keep your fingers crossed. Folks, here we go. Here come the Atlanta Braves. Brought to you by JM Lexus. Nick Markakis, Daniel Castro, Freddie Freeman. Adonis Garcia has been good against the fish and very good lately. Nick Swisher gets a start in a big outfield out in left. Andrelton Simmons at short. Cameron Maven is in center. Brian Lavarnway, the start behind the plate. Julio Teheran hits ninth.
Boy, a good look at the 23-year-old Justin Nicolino, and boy, did he have a nice start against the Atlanta Braves. at Turner Field back on September 1st. 7 shutout innings, gave up just 6 hits, kept the ball in the strike zone, and kept the ball down. So the youngster out of University High School in Orlando trying to pick up win number 4. And remember, he went 7-7 in AAA New Orleans before his call-up. He's throw the ball nice, but as we have talked about, has to keep the ball down, utilize that defense, which has been really, really good. Defense brought to you by BMW, Dietrich, Yelich, and Ozuna. Derek Dietrich's made some nice plays. Christian Yelich has tracked a lot of balls down. Martin Prado and Miguel Rojas. Miguel Rojas has played Gold Glove defense and has gotten a ton of hits ever since he's filled in for Danny Echeverria. D. Gordon, we'll keep our eye on him. No errors in his last 67 games. Justin Boers at first and Real Muto behind the plate.
Fielding percentage-wise, Miami is tied for first with the Dodgers and the Giants.
And I think, Rich, a little difference with the defense on pop flies, fly balls with the roof open tonight. Because so many games have been played with it closed, you have the elements now to deal with a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes you get a breeze when you open the rolling windows. Often off the ocean you get a breeze in, but right now there isn't a whole lot swirling or blowing here at Marlins Park. Nick Markakis, Daniel Castro, and Freddie Freeman. And Justin Nicolino looking for win number 4. Marlins and Braves, just a nutty game last night, 12-11. Miami had an 11-4 lead at one point in that ball game, 12-6 lead, and hung on at the end to win it. Pinch Penny brings you that first pitch. Nicolino misses, and the count's 1-0 to Markakis, who opened the night with a home run to right last night. And it was a line drive that never stopped. It ended up in the seats in right center. Fernandez line last night. That was the interesting thing about Jose setting the record, starting his career at 17-0 at home, is that it was one of his worst outings of his career. 5 innings, 6 runs, 9 hits. Rojas diving on his feet. Wow! What did you say about Gold Glove defense?
Miguel Rojas has been outstanding. Wow. He shaded up the middle. Markakis crosses him up a little bit. Plants and shows off a strong arm after he catches the ball. That's only half of it. Then he comes up and fires a bullet over to first.
And gets him with plenty of time to spare. So Markakis is out, and here is Castro. And you know what? Did you hear that? That was Tom Hallion, and that was a salute to legendary umpire Dutch Rennert, who is in the house. And that is Hallion tipping his cap to Dutch Rennert. How cool is that? Rennert actually was in our booth about a half an hour before.
This is exactly the way. Yeah, that's the way Dutch Rennert used to call strikes, and it was good to see him. 81 years old, came in to say hi. He was one of the best, but also most everybody's favorite umpire.
And Hallion has maybe the best strike 3 call in the big leagues. So if he gets a called strike 3, listen in. Roller to third. Prado has it on to first in time.
Always good to see that cutter get in on the hands of a right-handed hitter. Doesn't have to be overpowering. 86. It's usually 86, 87. There it is, moving in. Just gets in enough to tie up Castro.
So 2 outs, 2 ground balls to the left side, and here's Freeman. 3 hits last night. There were some hitters that really added to their seasons last night. Mostly Marlins, but Freeman with 3 hits, a homer. He drove in 2. And he pulls it to first. Spoor is there. Steps on the bag. 1, 2, 3. 3 ground balls to open this night in Miami. Nicolino, and now Miami sets their sights on Julio Teheran with this lineup, which is brought to you by JM Lexus. D. Gordon in the leadoff spot. Christian Yelich hit second. Martin Prado, boy, is he just cleaned up in the 3-hole. Justin Bour is at first base. Marcelo Zuna hits fifth. Derek Dietrich, nice little run that he's on. JT Real Muto, Mr. Triple. Miguel Rojas, he's hot right now. He's in the 8th position. And Nicolino is slotted 9th. And there is Teheran, 24-year-old out of Colombia.
Yeah, the offense has its work cut out for him. Julio Teheran has good stuff, and he's having a tremendous month of September. 1-0 in September, but an ERA of 1.67 in 4 starts.
D. Gordon ready. And he fouls the first pitch off. 3 for 5 last night is Gordon, and a 332 average to check in. Hope you saw the outset of the telecast, the new diameter, which the folks in the truck took great pride in putting together. It measures Gordon as far as the batting race and the stolen base race in this last week, and that's up to date with Harper, who's at 337. And Gordon may fall down a point with a fly ball to center. Maben's there, and he makes the catch.
A few changes for Freddie Gonzalez and the Braves defensively. Defense brought to you by BMW. Nick Swisher starts in left field. Cameron Maybin, he'll cover a lot of ground in center. Markakis, the right fielder. Adonis Garcia, Andrelton Simmons, Daniel Castro, and Freddie Freeman around the infield, and LaVarn Way behind the plate.
Freddie Gonzalez behind the post. Teheran misses away. Yelich, 3 hits for him last night, and he's pumped his average up to 292. Single, double, triple for Yelich, and he struck out in his last at bat last night. The Marlins had 2 guys who were close to the cycle. Justin Bour needed a triple. Yelich needed a homer. And in all their years, they still don't have one of those.
That's one of the few times we've actually had a game where we've seen a couple of players. And remember, even at one point, Jeff Mathis had a double and a triple.
Yelich rolls that one up the middle into center field. That's a base hit. I'll tell you what, Tommy Hutton, this next week could get interesting for Christian Yelich. As you talk about milestones, he's inching closer to 300.
Turns that ball over. Teheran really has a good touch for pitching. That's just a good bit of hitting by Christian Yelich. Not a bad pitch. Julio Teheran.
Martin Prado now. Prado 2 hits last night. Every Marlin position player who started the game had at least 2 hits last night. Teheran aggressively gets a strike on Prado.
Teheran's usually around the strike zone.
Breaking ball, line to center, Maben after it, and he catches up and makes the grab.
With Swisher in left field, who won't cover a lot of ground, Cameron Maben is going to have a lot of territory to deal with in center field.
Justin Bour now. Well, for Bour, last night was fun. He hit home run number 20. He had double number 17 on a 3-for-5 night. And a low fastball from Teheran. The triple, well, that was asking a little too much to complete the cycle. His last triple was in single A back in 2011.
But it would have been fun to watch.
Yes, it would have. Well, the gentleman with Babe in arms. And hopefully it was a smooth ride. 1-1 and a throw to first. Freddie Gonzalez and the Braves, a major rebuild mode. Justin Bour, deep, gone, way out of here. He is on fire.
And it doesn't matter whether it's a changeup, which he hit last night, or a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, which he just hit off Julio Teheran.
He's hitting every pitch.
There's the fastball. It drifts and it's belt high, and the power of Justin Bour puts it out of here in a hurry. 21 home runs for Bour.
Here's Ozuna. And he takes a Teheran slider out to center. Maben is there, gathers it in, but Miami is off to a 2-0 start, and once again it's the big fella, Justin Bour. 2-0 Marlins on top. Justin Bour, how about that? 21 homers now and 68 runs driven in. Tommy, we had the stat last night. 7 of his homers have been 3-run homers, and now a 2-run homer. He's done a ton of damage with those home runs.
Look at the list. Rookie home runs. Justin Bour right there. Jock Peterson got off to a great start. He's really cooled off. Chris Bryant has been steady all year.
Adonis Garcia. And Garcia takes a strike. From what little the Marlins have seen of Garcia, he's been impressive. He had good series against the Fish in Atlanta. Swings through a breaking ball there. And as you saw during the lineups, he's hot right now. Got him in the cleanup spot at third base. And much like the guy he replaced, he's Cuban. Liner to right. Ozuna's there and he makes the catch. Hector Olivera has the big contract and all the notoriety, but if you look at him on paper, Garcia's been better.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the progress of Olivera. And being in the same division, I'm sure we'll get many chances.
Here now is Nick Swisher. Marlins were in Atlanta when the Braves acquired Michael Bourne and Swisher.
Yes, Swisher playing in his 41st game now with Atlanta.
You wonder if he'll be a Brave next year. His contract goes through next year. Same with Bourne's. Chris Johnson went from Atlanta to Cleveland. Switcher doesn't like it. He and Hallion have a brief discussion.
In and out. He went in with the strike 1, change up, got the outer part of the plate, strike 2, and has Swisher shaking his head.
Swisher always looks up to the sky just before he gets set in the box. Tribute to his late grandmother. That one's in.
There's that cutter back in. Just missed. That's the way Justin Nicolino has to pitch. In and out, changing speeds.
12th year in the big leagues for Swisher. Off of Nicolino's glove, I believe. He'll flip it over and get the out. It may have hit the leg. It may have hit the glove.
Hey, he's nodding his head. He's fine. Either way, he was able to complete the play. A little bit of both, I think, but was able to scoop it up and get it over to Justin Bour. We told you last night, we were talking about the Marlins minor league pitcher of the year, Adam Conley, this year. Justin Nicolino was Marlins minor league pitcher of the year last year.
Of course, Nicolino acquired from the Blue Jays when the Marlins had their reboot after the 2012 season, that big trade that brought a lot of talent from Toronto. Nicolino hurt by the big inning in his last start in Washington. 7 runs, 5 2/3. It's one of those lines where he pitched better than the line, save for that last inning, the 6th inning. Tapper, Prado cuts over. A little awkward throw, and he gets Simmons. Nicolino's cruising. 5 ground ball outs so far. Sign up and get ticketing updates, breaking news. Information relates to Major League Baseball's All-Star Game and the All-Star Week events to be held at Marlins Park in July of 2017. Gotta wait for the music there. Marlins.com/ASG. That is not the official theme of the All-Star Game in 2017, but if you were picking a theme song, Tommy, I think that would be a fine choice.
I think it would.
It sounds like one big party. Derek Dietrich takes a breaking ball outside. Marlins got to Julio Teheran in the first with what else? A Justin Bour homer to right. Dietrich hits that one to left center. Maben cruising after it, runs it down. Dietrich continues to swing the bat well. He had a couple hits last night.
Yeah, and continues to drive it well to left center. Both his hits last night were in that direction. And we told you Maben was going to have a lot of territory to cover out there, too.
JT Realmuto. Realmuto, the hitting hero on Thursday night with an RBI triple. That was a win over the Phillies. It's a mammoth pop-up that's going to end up in the seats.
Because the Marlins haven't played many games with the roof open, it's it's also going to give outfielders a different look. You're not sure how balls are going to carry. Are they going to carry a little bit better, or are they going to carry less? I don't think the atmosphere mattered at all on the ball Justin Bour hit.
And an important statement, because Miami's not had success against Teheran, both collectively and individually. There aren't a lot of big numbers that pop out in the matchup sheet. And Teheran was absolutely perfect into the 7th inning of his last start. That was against the Phils. He ended up giving up a run in 8 1/3. There's that line. He did give up 5 hits.
Check on the scouting report. Good repeatable delivery. Excellent changeup. He's been very durable. Last 3 years, he's put up some nice, consistent numbers.
Adonis Garcia across the diamond.
You know, and that's what you ask of a starting pitcher. The last 3 years for Julio Teheran, he's averaged 12, 13 wins a year. He's averaged 200 innings, and he's averaged 32 starts a year.
As Craig pointed out on Marlins Live, for a guy pitching for a team that's 30 under, to be 10-7, win 10 games, low 4 ERA is not bad. Now Rojas settles in. Tommy, you pointed out Rojas has been playing Gold Glove defense in place of Adeiny Echeverria. He's also been swinging a really nice bat. Since Echeverria went out with a hamstring injury, Rojas over 300. And he had 3 hits last night.
Well, and you look at how the team has played. The team's played well. He has started 18 games in September. Itching to get back in. And we all know how the Marlins have played in September. They're 14-8. And in those 18 starts, Rojas has hit over 300.
That's Dan Bellino down at first. Bruce Dreckman's in second. Alfonso Marquez in third. And we've already introduced Tom Hallion, but we haven't seen the Pete Townsend windmill strike 3 call yet. Line drive base hit.
Just incredible.
Rojas.
A lot of 2-out base hits, a lot of 2-strike base hits we've seen from Rojas. He's a delight to talk to, and he's been a delight to watch.
Now Nicolino. Justin working on a 1 for 20 this year. But that first major league hit was sweet. Yeah, Hallion's strike 3 call. It's only on a called strike 3. Is half Pete Townsend, half your dad out on the front lawn trying to start the pull mower. Slowly hit. Simmons bare hands and just gets the out. Nice play by Andrelton Simmons. Rojas with a single. He's left on base. Miami on a Justin Bour homer leads it. But you can see the Miami skyline perfectly from a lot of spots in the ballpark. All right, time to focus. Smile, everybody. That's a strong photo. It's a strong fan photo. And you know what? If she hashtags it, Tommy Hutton, they're going to the front of the line. FL Data Strong Fan. It's brought to you by T-Mobile, too. Will you take our picture, please?
Not sure if the selfie's going to turn out, so now we have to have somebody else take it.
All right. I think we know how that one turns out.
Actually think both of them would be just fine.
All right. Come on, before we all get in trouble. Cameron Maybin, Ryan Lavarnway, and Julio Teheran are scheduled to appear here in the third. Justin Nicolino still getting loose. The pace of play initiative, one more reminder, when a pitcher or a catcher is involved in a play that ends the inning, the clock doesn't start out in center field, and that individual will have as much time as they need to get themselves to the dugout, get their gear if you're a catcher, catch your breath, and maybe grab a quick drink if you're a pitcher, and then get back out on the field. So here we go. Maybin, the former Marlin, who has stayed relatively healthy this year, and for him that's big. He's had a nice season. Battled an eye issue earlier in the month.
You know, he had a real nice first half of the season. He's tailed off somewhat. I think the eye issue had something to do with it. Since the All-Star break, he's hit just under 230.
Headlines around baseball tonight. The Mets have clinched 10-2. They win in Cincinnati. 88-67 are the Mets.
I'll tell you another headline out of that game. 10-2 win. Matt Harvey threw 97 pitches and his arm didn't fall off.
Yeah, they got actually 6 2/3 innings.
Yeah, Lucas Duda's hot. Hit a grand slam. Remember last night we talked about how he's starting to heat up. 12 RBIs for Duda in that series.
Here is Brian Lavarnway. Duda now has 70 on the season. Curtis Granderson had a nice series as well. He homered again today. Who would have thought that the Mets would get 25 homers and 69 RBIs out of their leadoff hitter in Curtis Granderson? So the Mets are in the postseason. The Nationals are languishing right now in extra innings in Philly, or excuse me, at home against Philly. It's 1-1. And that's bottom of the 12th. Pirates shut out the Cubs 4-0. St. Louis 4 runs in the first, leads Milwaukee. Lavarnway towards the line. Ozuna over, makes the catch. So an out with Maben at first. Here comes the pitcher Tehran, and a reminder that the only way to guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game at Marlins Park is by placing a deposit for a Marlins season ticket for 2016. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/tickets. Here is Julio Tehran.
You know, it's interesting in the young career of Justin Nicolino. He's had 5 starts here at Marlins Park. He's had 5 starts on the road. Oddly enough, much better numbers on the road. He's yet to win a game here at Marlins Park in an ERA a little over 5.
Tehran trying to bunt. And that's a foul ball. Runner goes. Big jump by Maben. He's got the bag stolen easily. Tehran laid it down anyways. Braves have a runner in scoring position, and that brings up Nick Markakis. How about that matchup in Oakland?
Yeah.
What a turn back the clock kind of thing with Tim Hudson of the Giants. Barry Zito called up from AAA for the Athletics. Part of the big three with Mark Mulder. They faced off today, and you know, the nostalgia stopped pretty quickly.
They had a nice crowd too. They had over 36,000.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a big event in the Bay Area. 14-10, the Giants beat Oakland, and those two weren't around more than 2 innings.
What a young outfielder with the Giants. Jarrett Parker hit 3 home runs and had 7 RBIs.
University of Virginia product. That one's into center field. Maven around third. He's coming home. Yelich's throw. And Maven scores. Holding first is Markakis. Atlanta's on the board.
Well, the sack bunt did the job, even though Maven had that bag stolen. Tehran has 14 sacrifice bunts. That leads the National League. So it pays off on the base hit of Markakis, who doesn't try to do too much, just stays back. He's always hit left-handers pretty well and drives it right back up the middle. So the leadoff walk comes in to score.
Now Daniel Castro, and you've got Markakis, not a base stealing threat.
Yeah, he's not going to be going anywhere.
He's swiped just 2 this year. Well, I guess the Giants will just get ready for the even season of 2016 and try to make it 4 World Series in even seasons starting from 2010. Oakland suffered their 90th loss. That's something the Marlins are shooting for, is 70 wins. The Fish at 67 right now. Busy night for Ozuna. And he makes the catch. Atlanta on the scoreboard. Nick Markakis did the deed. It's 2-1 Fish. That's the scoring tonight for the Fish and the Braves. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. D. Gordon, second at bat. Fly to center against Julio Tehran. Bour's 2-run homer to right opened the scoring in the first. And Gordon fouls it off with that bunt. 54 stolen bases. We showed you the diameter unveiled today. Closing in on Billy Hamilton for the stolen base crown in the National League. But still trying to chase down Bryce Harper. Harper tonight is 2 for 4. He sits at .337. There it is, the diameter.
And they're still playing in Washington, D.C. It's the bottom of the 12th. Nats and Phillies, a 1-1 tie.
And it's raining there, by the way.
So they have to continue on knowing that they're officially eliminated. with the Mets win today.
It's a fine time for a Coors Light cold hard fact. 3 hit games in a season. Gordon has 24 of them. That year that Hanley Ramirez had that many games with 3 or more hits was the only time a Marlin has won a batting title. Gordon hits that one to center. Maben's been patrolling out there and runs it down.
5 putouts already for Cameron Maben.
Here is Yelich, who singled. That was back in the first. 294 for Yelich right now. And he's 4 for 5 in this series. He's had a great year against the Braves.
Now he's 8 for 24 now against Julio Teheran, too. There's that good Teheran changeup.
That one's going to find the glove of Simmons, where ground balls go to die. Two outs. Here's Martin Prado. Major League Baseball this year announced that on closing day, not tomorrow, which is closing day for the Marlins, but the last day of the season, every game will start at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, trying to recreate that magical night of, I believe it was 3 years ago, where there were 3 or 4 games that all converged at the same time that factored in postseason bids. Breaking ball misses away. However, in theory that's great, but looking at it now, it's there might not be a whole lot to play for that last day, although you never know. That the American League wild card race seems to be the one that has the most intrigue at this point. A strike there. Here's your American League wild card, and you've got
the Angels and the Twins
right behind Houston, who's 4.5 back of first place. That's hit well to left field. Swisher has it at the track, and Prado is out number 3, making some friends in the Clevelander. That's always a good thing. intervening somewhere in the ballpark.
Well, Rich, as you and Tommy know, for years you've mentioned the name Joe Mohler on the air during a Marlins broadcast because he's been the advanced scout since the early 2000s with the Marlins, and an amazing baseball career. Joe was here retiring after 56 years associated with Major League Baseball. He signed in 1960 with the Dodgers. Joe, first of all, congratulations. A nice ceremony before the game.
It really was. I was very humbled by it. That because it was like kind of a 2 or 3 weeks ago they talked about doing it. Well, and I talked about retiring then, so it was just absolutely incredible to me. Let's
start back in California because it's an amazing story. A great pitcher who at the age of 19 became the youngest starter ever in Dodgers history. But the story begins even before that, when you were 12 years old.
When I was 12 years old and played Little League, and the Boston Red Sox gave my father $5,000 if they could have the last rights to sign me when I graduated from high school. Now, as I mentioned, I was 6 feet tall in Little League.
It's the 50s now.
Yeah, 54, 55, something like that. Yeah.
So they offer you $5,000. They say, we want the last, we want to have a say.
Well, in other words, when they came to graduating, then they had to, all they had to do was top the highest offer by $1, and then I had to sign with them.
Now, what they didn't know was Joe was such a big prospect then. That dollar fee went way up from $5,000. What'd it go to?
You know, we had a couple offers at $100,000 from Detroit and the White Sox. Oh, and we were a very poor family, so that was like all the money in the world. So, yeah, but my dad, he liked the Dodgers. I loved the Dodgers growing up a Dodger fan, so we were kind of glad they didn't.
So the Sox could have gone to 101, but they did not, and you became a Dodger, and the rest is history.
Yeah, then it was just, boy, we were excited that I was going to go to the Dodgers.
All right, how about the world of advanced scouting after your pitching career? And let's talk about the Marlins. That's not the easiest gig. This is the first time you've ever been here.
Yes, I am, because I've never had a reason to come here to watch the Marlins. So yeah,
you're scouting everybody else. That's not the easiest gig. Did you enjoy it?
Absolutely loved it. Either we're advanced scouts, you either love it or you hate it. I absolutely loved it. It was like my dream job for me, and it was tough giving it up. But the traveling just so hard and the intenseness of it, so decided it was time to stop.
And obviously, since you came on board with the Marlins in 02, you helped advance scout the 03 World Champions. How much did that raise the energy and the focus you had on scouting?
Oh, that was so fun because everybody was involved. We had 2 or 3 guys at every team that we're looking at, and so it really raised the intensity level, and it was just fun working with everybody. Boy, every guy that was helped out.
Yeah.
And it takes everybody to do it too.
With 2 outs, I'm going to ask you about playing with Tommy Hutton. How much fun was that in Spokane?
That was in Spokane, and I always tell people, we had some great first basemen, and Wes Parker and a few other guys, and they were great. Tommy Hutton was the best first baseman that I ever played with or played on the side. There was never a ball that went through that side of the infield that he wasn't just flat out, 100% effort, and just one of my favorite teammates.
Tommy didn't give you a signing bonus to say that.
He sent over a check.
Joe, congratulations on an amazing career. Your family's here, and you deserve to be honored tonight. I know that's not normal for scouts to be honored, but you deserve it.
Thank you very much, Greg.
And a great baseball career, too, with the Dodgers. Tommy, I know you have some great Joe Mohler stories yourself. Back to you guys.
Just a tremendous guy. I mean, and what a prospect as a young pitcher coming up in the Dodger organization, and a fantastic job as an advanced scout when he was doing that with the Marlins.
And a big help to the broadcast. He was a friend to the telecast here on Fox Sports Florida while he was out in the field and advancing. Swisher, just a little bit, he said, in that appeal down to first. There's that glance skyward. And he takes in. Very, very comfortable night in the ballpark with the roof open, rolling windows open. Swisher takes out, and he walks.
Just beautiful. Joe Mohler used to have a great story. As a young pitcher, he was the 5th starter one year with the Dodgers. Well, nowadays 5th starters get 25, 30 starts. Well, that was in the year Koufax, Drysdale, Sutton, and Osteen. They had a 4-man rotation. None of them missed a start. The only time he started was in a doubleheader.
Andrelton Simmons Simmons takes in. If you look at this Braves ball club, they have some pieces, and the hope is that they've restocked their minor league system with all the trades. Upton, Gaddis, Hayward. Of course, the Hayward trade brought tomorrow's starter Shelby Miller. Rojas smothers it, knocks it down. Gordon's at the bag, and Justin Nicolino cruises through the fourth. 2-1, Miami on top. Joe Mohler, congratulations to you. Job well done. Is brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today. And by Checkers, epic meals, epic deals. Great look in downtown Miami. The roof is open tonight as the Marlins and the Braves play on this Saturday night. A Justin Bour homer has provided Miami with a 2-1 lead, and it's Bour who leads it off in the bottom of the fourth. Big fella out of suburban Washington, D.C. Takes a fastball up and out.
92-mile-an-hour fastball from Tehran. Just his fourth at bat against Julio Tehran.
I'm going to ask you a question, Tommy Hutton.
All right.
Put you on the spot here, Tommy Hutton. Have you seen Justin Bour hit a cheap home run this year?
I don't think so. No.
Because I certainly don't remember one. They all seem to be just blasted. And some of the balls he's hit in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and you know, you think of, okay, maybe he hit one into the bullpen. It probably had a little topspin. There's a great example of why he's improved so much. Off-speed pitch, he was fooled. He was out in front. Jeff Conine was talking about it on Marlins Live. He's a handsy hitter. If he keeps the hands back, you're able to hit that pitch, and that's what he did. He's out front, but the hands stay back. Now he uses the hands to send that ball right back up the middle. So you don't see a lot of big hitters that are that type of hitters with the hands.
Now Ozuna. Bour has 5 hits in the series now. He's homered twice. He's doubled. Has a couple of singles.
Shoot, he's closing in on 70 RBIs. He has 68 RBIs too.
And that, as we've talked about, is one of the impressive things about Bour this year, is that the home runs have come in big spots and provided big runs. 7 3-run homers. Tehran has always had that pitch. It's a devastating, sharp slider.
Well, the slider, the fastball, the changeup, he's got them all.
Pitch in the dirt. Lavarnway knocks it down. Derek Dietrich on deck. Marlins on a nice run that certainly with all the teams clinching postseason and having great finishes, it's not near the headlines. And Ozuna gets wrapped up on a fastball that comes up and in. And he strikes out. You could stay social with the Marlins. Follow at Fox Marlins on Twitter and Instagram. Give you exclusive behind the scenes Marlins coverage from Fox Sports Florida. A little social media for you. That's how Joe Mohler used to communicate with Tommy Hutton on social media. Those two, Snapchat, Instagram.
Find out what this pitcher's throwing, what hitter's been hot.
Dietrich fouls one off. Final home game of the season tomorrow. It's closing day. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine will be hosting. Shelby Miller still hasn't won a game since he last won here. And that was, of course, his near no-hitter that Bohr broke up with 2 outs in the ninth. That ball's in the gap, and it's well hit. Let's see if Bohr can score from first. Up for the ball is Maven. Here comes a big fella on his way home. Drove from Simmons. He is out. Called out by the home plate umpire, Tom Hallion. He did not slide. I'm not sure if that would have made a difference. The Marlins obviously are going to look at it and see if the call was accurate.
JT Realmuto, the on-deck hitter, I believe was standing there in the view of Justin Bohr, which is the on-deck hitter's job. Look at JT. He's saying, move, move. He might have been a little late in getting there. And Justin Bohr just didn't pick it up. But did he touch the plate before he was tagged? He might have been safe.
Yeah, that right toe. The key is, did his foot tag the plate? If his foot got the plate, Hut, I think he's safe.
I think he's safe. And I think in his mind, he's saying, I can get there quicker by not sliding and just touching the corner of the plate. And I'm with you, Rich. I think if he got the plate, boy, it looks like he was safe. We'll have to see.
Wow, the Marlins won't challenge. There is an overhead look that Major League Baseball has that we do not have access to. The coaches also have access to it. From the looks that we had, it was close. But again, you have to ask yourself, if you're in the room, will the umpires in New York overturn that? Is there enough evidence to overturn it?
You know, they're calling that a double with Dietrich going to third on the throw. But we've seen Derek Dietrich, when he hits a ball in that gap in right center, get 3 bases.
I think the lesson in all of it is, in a play that close, you've got to slide.
You've got to slide.
And if Justin Bohr had it to do over, I'm sure he would say, I needed to slide.
I would imagine what was going through his head. If he slides, he has to kind of break things down a little. And that might slow him up. And now he slides. And he probably would have been out there too.
I said it the other night, if there's one relay arm you need to make sure you know where he is at all times, it's Andrelton Simmons.
You got that right, and that's how that put out went, 8-6-2.
He's the best in baseball at that play. End of the bat, little trickler. Real Muto's got good speed. It's going to roll. Foul. Just foul, and that saves a run.
Boy, a quick decision by Julio Teheran. As he's running over, he realizes he's not going to get an out, and he realizes this ball might go foul, and he had to make that quick decision. He could see the spin, and right about there, as soon as it gets into foul territory,
that's close.
Boy, he picked it up right away.
So Real Muto is back to the plate. Dietrich's still 90 away. Marlins have had a runner thrown out at the plate here in the fourth. 2-2 pitch coming with 2 outs.
We've talked about a lot of things, Rich, that have happened here in the month of September. A lot of positive things with pitching, with offense. And I think one of the things we've seen a lot of are some big 2-out base hits.
Well, and the depth of the lineup has been evident lately. A lot of guys contributing. You pointed out everybody that's high. Gordon, Yelich, Prado, Bohr, Dietrich, Real Muto, Rojas. All guys that are on nice runs.
Doesn't happen too often. You know, usually you'll get 2 or 3 guys on a good roll. You'll get 2 or 3 guys that are slumping a little bit.
Count full, 3-2. Bouncer to short. Simmons. Wow, that was close. That was really close. But Real Muto is out at first. Marlins are going to look at this. Tom Hallion telling the Braves to hold on. I think he got him. Simmons is pretty confident.
But Simmons didn't air it out. That was an easier throw.
Yep.
And I think he got him.
He got him, boy, by the narrowest of margins. The Marlins come up empty in the fourth. Dietrich was given a double, but as we looked at the play, watch Dietrich. He never broke stride, and it was 3 all the way. Ball still in the outfield. And from the third base perspective, watch Simmons. Look where Dietrich is. Simmons just gets the ball. So, I mean, he's only about 20 feet away from third base. That's probably going to be changed to a triple. You would hope. But the bigger news there was that the Marlins didn't get that run home. Bohr didn't slide, and he was tagged out in a bang-bang play. And so the lead is still just 2-1 with Maven, Lavarnway, and Tehran coming up. Maven walked back in the third. Shoots one into right field for a base hit. Former bat boy for the Asheville Tourists. There were, as I remember it, there was a long list of famous bat boys, including the Ripken kids, right? Cal and Billy. Was it Tom Wolfe, the author, or someone of that esteem, also a bat boy?
Yeah, it wasn't Stephen King.
No, that was the Tom Gordon book.
Tom Gordon. By the way, keep your eye on Maven. Remember in that sacrifice situation back in the third inning, Tehran dropped down to bunt, but Maven got a huge jump.
All right, the research staff is working hard now. Yes, Asheville Tourist Bat Boys comes up with
Google's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Roy Williams, that's the guy I'm forgetting, the basketball coach, the Hall of Fame basketball coach. Roy Williams was a bat boy. Thomas Wolfe, the author, Cal Ripken Jr., and Cameron Maben. Maben back.
Boy, congrats to the Cubs in clinching a playoff spot. They lost yesterday, but they clinched when the Giants lost.
Was it the Pirates I saw when they clinched a postseason berth did not have a raucous clubhouse? It was more of a champagne toast.
It's because they've been there in that they still have a shot to catch St. Louis, though. Pittsburgh's playing great baseball. Pirates with a win today. They've won 8 in a row.
The Cardinals, though, are up 5-0 over Milwaukee in the fourth. That's right back to Nicolino. Wheels, deals. Gordon takes it, turns it, got it.
Well, there was a lot of wheeling and dealing and turning in that one. Through it all, you knew you had a little time. Lavarnway, the catcher, doesn't run that well. Now Rojas and Gordon talking about, all right, covering second. Both guys are there. D kind of cuts in front of Rojas to take the throw. Watch this. Rojas is coming over to cover. But the throw is low, and actually D. Gordon was the best one to make that catch because of where he was. Great instincts.
That brings up Tehran with nobody on base. Yeah, you're right about Pittsburgh. I mean, they've won 95 games right now.
How about this? If the Cubs win one more game, which more than likely they will, they lost 4-0 today, that will give 3 teams in the National League Central with 90 or more wins.
And at the basement, you have Milwaukee and Cincinnati.
Cardinals with 97 going into play tonight.
Out to center, Yelich is there, and he makes the catch. Justin Nicolino, 5 very nice innings, and up 2-1. strike. Here it was. The significance of that, he's with Craig Minervini. Craig?
All right, well, if you grew up a National League fan, you know the name Dutch Rennert because he was a National League ump and a great one for a long time. Dutch, how about that tribute that Tom Hallion paid to you before the game?
Well, I think the ball players get a kick out of it. I don't know about the fans, but he told me he was going to do it, Craig.
What did you think of his performance?
Well, he's just about there, but not quite. Got to get a little more experience.
Where did that come from, that exuberant energy that you had on those strike calls?
Well, you know, Al Barlick told me one time, and Auga Donatelli, two old-time great umpires, that you got to add something to your work. You got to be a little more colorful. But I think I got carried away. I really don't know. It wasn't an act that just come natural.
Yeah, I don't know if you can still do. Can you still do a strike one for us? Or would that be too much?
Oh God, forget that. The back could give out. Never.
What did you enjoy about your career that made you did 3 World Series, a lot of National League Championship Series, big games. What did you enjoy about umpiring, which is a job that a lot of people say, people yell at you. Why would you want to do something like that?
I tell you, it's one of the greatest jobs in the world. You can't beat the hours. And the greatest cities, you're hitting the big league cities all over the country. And before they went to interleague play, we just had one league. National League was terrific.
You preferred it that way, just doing the National League?
Oh, that was the only way. We took pride in the National League staff. We had a good staff and good cities.
I'm sure you had your series of tirades with managers over the years in a good way. Who gave you some of the best grief, if you will?
Well, I'll never forget, of course, when Lou Piniella come over from the. He's got all those bad habits from the American League, and we had to straighten them out. That's all. It took time, though. If Lou's listening, Lou, we tried. He might not have done no good.
You gave it a shot. Anybody? How was Tommy Lasorda to deal with in the National League?
Well, Tommy was very easy, but you got to let him talk. You know, he's Italian. When he comes out, let him talk and just tell him, Tom, you had your say now. You want to walk away? Don't follow me. You're through. And he believed it. He was good.
Those Italians like to talk. Is there enough energy? Would an umpire today say, hey, you need more energy in your game? Or has that been taken away a little bit?
That's all gone now. The umpires, they take away all the colorful umpires. They want them to work one way, all uniform, same way.
Would you like replay or do you not like replay?
I hate replay. Call them as you see them. It's called a rhubarb. If they're going to argue, that's all right. And then let's play ball.
You know, my dad always used to say the rain is going to hurt the rhubarb. I never knew what that meant.
There you go. There you go. Very good saying. Your dad was a smart man.
Good to see you, Dutch. I know you wear that hat proudly, and it was a great honor to you before the game today. I thought we really enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
I really had a good time. First time I've been in the Diamond since 1993. Wow. First major league game. I don't go no more. So I was awed. I was really happy. I was happy to see a couple of nice ball players, too. McDowell, Pendleton, you know.
Yeah, sure.
It was great to see him. Flynn, great to see him.
Good to see Dutch Rennert. Thanks a lot, Dutch, who lives in Florida and had an outstanding career as a major league umpire. Thanks, Dutch.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Boy, that's a lot of fun. D. Gordon with the ground ball. Castro has it, flips to first in time. Gordon 0 for 3 tonight. Miguel Rojas is now at third base, and here comes Christian Yelich. Now, you had a chance when you played.
I met Dutch for the first time in the Pacific Coast League when he was coming up as a young umpire. He was teamed with Bruce Fremming. So they had 2-man teams in the Coast League, and boy, saw those guys for a long time in the Coast League, and then my 11 plus years in the major leagues. One of the best.
Here now is Yelich, who is 1 for 2. Marlins have had a tough time tacking on that extra run after Bohr's 2-run homer in the first. Bohr was thrown out at the plate in the fourth, trying to score on the Dietrich hit, and then Dietrich stranded at third to end that inning. Tehran doesn't want to give Yelich anything over the plate right now. No bargain on deck. Prado, though he's 0 for 2, has hit 2 bullets to the outfield.
Martin Prado has lined out hard twice.
And a patient Yelich. That's the other thing, Tommy, in watching Yelich. It's not just the batting average that has climbed, but the on-base percentage has risen steadily as well. He's close to 360 on base, and his slugging percentage now over 400. And that's out. Yelich will take his base. And so Prado with runners at the corners and 2 outs.
You see the approach that Yelich has. It leads you to believe what we've said a number of times, that somewhere down the line he will win a batting title because he's going to take that walk.
Now, remember, Giancarlo Stanton hasn't played since June 26th, and that's right when Yelich was hitting his stride. You see the on base is over 400, and the batting average just a tick below 350.
And base hits in 50 of 63 games. Plus, he was able to see his lookalike in New York, Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson. Now, to me, the next step for Yelich, and it sounds like it could happen, is for Yelich to be in the audience of Saturday Night Live when Pete Davidson is performing, much like Davidson got to tag along for batting practice.
That has to happen. I said it. I mean, Lorne Michaels has to get on that. The Marlins have to get on that to try to make that happen.
Roger McDowell out for a quick visit. Prado's up. Line to center, line to left. And the liner to left took Nick Swisher right up to the Clevelander. Ironic, since that's where he came from in a 3-player deal. Breaking ball, strike. And as you noted during the break, we just talked about Dutch Rennert and Tom Hallion's called first strike, a salute to Rennert. We haven't seen the called third strike, which is the signature move of Hallion.
And you don't want to see it here either.
No, I'm not asking for it.
Rich, look up in the sky with the roof open. All of a sudden, there's a beautiful view of the moon.
Yeah, you got to go a little higher than that. There you go. If it were made of cheese, Tommy. 0-2. Oh. Prado started to swing and then at the last minute tried to bail out of it.
That's your basic moon over Miami. Yeah, that's just a fastball riding up, and Martin can't hold back. He just wants to make sure he gets a piece of it.
Again in, and again Prado peels away. One-two pitch. And he got him. High fastball. Tehran strikes out Prado. Miami leads 2. 5 in the books. Good ball game. 2-1 Miami. Day is tomorrow. It starts at 1:10. All fans get a magnetic schedule courtesy of Mikasuki Resort and Gaming. 2016 schedule is out. You can get one tomorrow. They'll hang it on your fridge and keep the company in the winter. Go to Marlins.com today. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, John Sulser's our producer. In a much better mood since the Gators pulled it out. Gary Nicholas, our critically acclaimed director. Ken Lee, our graphics coordinator. John Chimchuk, our baseball historian. Bill Wadlick on Foxbox. And the crack staff, world's most dangerous tape room, all assembled here tonight. Now, the year-end rollout, which is a tradition here for Marlins television, that's won numerous awards, accolades, backhanded compliments. It will not air tomorrow. It will air on that Sunday in Philly, a week from tomorrow, with highlights, lighter moments, bloopers, no whip pans, line drive, caught by Prado. Nicolino gets Markakis for the first out of the 6th inning. So a week from tomorrow, make sure you're with us. And the year-end rollout set to music. That's still being assembled as we speak.
Look at how efficient Justin Nicolino has been. 59 pitches. Here he is working with 1 out already in the 6th inning.
Julio Teheran, in contrast, has thrown 80 pitches in his 5 innings.
You know, you look at the progression of innings, and it's always something in this day and age that baseball does with young pitchers. Last year in Double-A, 170 1/3 innings Justin Nicolino threw. He's gone over 180 right now and is working free and easy here tonight.
Changeup dips down low and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Nicolino 7-7 in New Orleans. ERA about 3.5 through 115 innings. He's gone a little over 65 as a Marlin.
Two to Castro. Yelich on patrol. And 2 outs already in the top of the 6th. All right, Tommy, let's see if that fan photo showed up as our data strong fan photo of the game. Remember that moment from earlier in the telecast? It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Mallory. Yet again, Mallory sneaks under at the wire. Freddie Freeman with 2 outs. Freeman has bounced out twice. Ground ball outs early, a few more in the air of late for Nicolino.
Freddie Freeman generally in his career has hit left-handers pretty well. He's struggled a little bit this year. Came into the game hitting .225 against lefties, over .300 against righties. Of course, he's had some wrist issues this year. He's missed about 40 games.
He's another piece that the Braves have that they'll try to build around. Some of the young talent they got back in trades. Markakis, Freeman, Simmons, Miller, Tehran. Count full 3-2.
A couple of all-star games for Freeman. A career on-base percentage near 370. So with Markakis and Freeman, that gives them a couple of tough left-handed hitters.
Freeman walks. 2-out walk. That brings up Adonis Garcia.
A little different tonight than the scoring barrage we had last night.
It's amazing how things can flip. And of course, the Marlins had a 1-0 game coming into this series on Thursday night. That finished the Phillies series. Marlins have the best record in the National League since the end of August 31st. To left, Dietrich back at the track, at the wall, makes the catch. Eric Dietrich runs down a long one from Adonis Garcia. Still 2-1. All of them. A couple of Stantons there. Hanley in the middle. On this date, Geico presents JP stole 2 bases against the Mets. The second was his 63rd of the year and broke Louis Castillo's club record set in 2000.
I'll tell you one guy, we've talked so much about D. Gordon. I guarantee you Juan Pierre has enjoyed watching D. Gordon this year. They spent a lot of time together in spring training.
JP is in the building. Now, and remind me from spring training, was it Gordon that walked out on the field with a Juan Pierre jersey on? When Juan Pierre was in uniform at spring training. Sort of a salute to Pierre. Justin Bour, 2 for 2. Tehran's fastball misses out. His first hit was a crackling line drive that zipped out of here for a 2-run homer. Two and two. Moore sends one deep to left, but it peels foul. It leaves the ballpark.
And that's the thing about Justin Moore. I mean, he has the ability and the power. It doesn't matter what part of the field he goes to. He can hit one out.
21 homers now and 68 driven in. A swing and a miss. This is only game 122 for Moore.
Now, Tehran used that good slider that he has, dropped it down and in a perfect spot to pick up the strikeout. There's the spin, very tight spin.
Julio Tehran has been sharp. You know, aside from the Bohr home run, he's really pitched well. Miami has 5 hits, those 2 runs. His pitch count higher than Nicolino's. That pitch number 88 for the Colombian right-hander.
Out of Cartagena, Colombia.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Marcell Ozuna. Shallow center, and it falls. Ozuna has a hit. Maven was deep, and obviously with that big swing, he didn't come in right away.
Yeah, this is just in a spacious outfield. This is just one of those balls off the end of the bat. I don't want to say Maven got a bad jump. He really didn't. He kind of held his ground. But with all the room to cover, that ball dropped out of the reach of Castro and just in front of Maven.
Cardinals got a bit of a blow today, finding out that Carlos Martinez will miss the rest of the season and the postseason with a grade 2 strain in his throwing shoulder. Sounds like he will, in the best case, avoid surgery and be healthy by the start of spring training.
On a bright note for St. Louis, Adam Wainwright pitched in a sim game, pitched an inning. They're hoping they can use Wainwright out of the bullpen in postseason.
Wainwright said a couple weeks ago when asked if he could pitch right now, he said, absolutely I could pitch. The question is, can I cover first? That Achilles injury at the start of the season. That's not one you come rushing back from, and for him to get back this fast is pretty impressive. Dietrich takes out, and it's 3-0. Dietrich hit the ball to right center. Matt Marksberry, the lefty's getting ready. With Justin Bohr at first, Bohr was thrown out by Andrelton Simmons in a bang-bang play at the plate. He didn't slide, and LaBarnway's tag got to his hip just as Bohr's foot got to the plate. Dietrich walks. Marlins doing a nice job here making Tehran work almost to the point with the pitch count going up. He might not be in there much longer.
Yeah, the Marlins have made him work here in this inning after he struck out Justin Moore, the single by Ozuna, had trouble throwing strikes to Dietrich.
Blue Jays' magic number to win the East is at 5. Jose Bautista hit a couple of home runs. Russell Martin homered again today. Realmuto takes a strike. 10-8. Jays beat the Rays. It seems like that's all they do now is win games 10-8, 11-7.
So what, Bautista has 39 home runs. Donaldson has 40.
Realmuto drives it to right. Markakis makes the catch. Everybody tags. And it's Ozuna who ends up at third. Dietrich holds at first. And up comes Miguel Rojas with 2 outs.
Chris Davis, Nelson Cruz, each with 43. I saw a piece today on the MLB Network about Chris Davis, who has 43, but very well could have 48. He's been robbed 4 or 5 times on balls that were over the fence, but were spectacular catches by outfielders.
Now Rojas. They're going to walk Rojas. Tommy, if everything ended today, here's how the postseason would shake out. Texas and Toronto would play in the division series. Houston and New York would play the wild card game, and the winner would get Kansas City. That's the American. The National League Division Series would have the Mets and the Dodgers. The wild card game, of course, would be Cubs at Pirates, with the winner getting the Cardinals.
And it's coming down to the wire where that Mets-Dodgers series will be played. The Mets winning today have 88 wins. The Dodgers are losing in Denver right now. The Dodgers now have 87.
And of course, as Roger McDowell comes out, bags loaded for Nicolino. As Terry Collins told us when we were in New York, that the importance of getting a home field is that the Mets would host the first 2 games of the series, and by doing so could avoid the shadows with Kershaw and Greinke out in LA in games 1 and 2. Craig?
Guys, there was a story the other day. I was quoting Joe Torre saying he feels in that division series there is an advantage to playing the first couple of games on the road. If you can split, you really put the pressure on the other team. Remember that game 5 goes back to where the first 2 games are, but in the scenario where the Mets and Dodgers are fighting for home field, yes, you'd like game 5 at home. But what do you guys think about that? Would you rather play the first 2 on the road knowing that you don't have game 5, or would you rather play the first 2 at home?
It's an interesting theory, but I also, if you're the Mets and you're playing the Dodgers, you know in games 1 and 2 you're going to see those 2 outstanding pitchers with LA.
I want to be the home team. I want to hit last on those first 2 games. Nicolino taps it over the middle. Simmons gets to the bag and gets the out. And the Marlins leave them loaded. 7th inning rolls around. Tight one here. It's 2-1. action, American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history. It all begins October 8th on FS1 and streams live on Fox Sports Go. Two-1. Still plenty of bullets left for Justin Nicolino. That's why he came to the plate with the bags loaded. And he goes to work in the 7th. Our Toyota trend, Braves against the East. Doing well against Miami, though the Marlins have had the better end lately. But look at it, the Nationals and the Mets. Hey, Tommy, there's a fan in the dugout. You see that?
Yeah, I didn't know they were allowed.
Yes, they are.
That kind of fan is. Freddie has pull here in Miami.
As he should. Southridge High School product. Justin Nicolino, just 73 pitches for the 23-year-old out of University High School in Orlando.
I tell you two things, Rich, that really impressed me about Nicolino and Conley. They get the ball, they don't waste much time, and they both have very good mound presence for young pitchers. So you like playing behind guys like that.
Nick Swisher, Andrelton Simmons, and Cameron Maben in the 7th. Swisher pokes it to right. Ozuna back on the track. And there's one out. This series and the Marlins' home schedule ends tomorrow. Tom Kohler and Shelby Miller. The curious case of Shelby Miller, an ERA right at 3, a record of 5-16. His last win was in this ballpark. He nearly no-hit Miami, went 8 2/3 of no-hit ball.
Justin Bohr broke up that no-hitter. What a job Kyle Barraclough did last night. Now his was a situation, Barraclough coming in that 8th inning when Atlanta had already scored 3 runs, had men on base.
Prado gets the out.
Struck out the 2 hitters he faced. That, you know, it's not a save. A.J. Ramos came in and got the save, but he saved the game right there.
He did. Those were, would you argue, those were the 2 most important outs of the game for Miami?
Without question. I mean, the final 3 outs are tough. There's no question about that. A.J. Ramos picking up his 30th save. But to get out of that inning, do the job he did, make the pitches that he did, and Jose loved it as well.
Left the bags loaded. Just 7 pitches, which means if Miami needs them tonight, they can use them tonight. Meanwhile, Nicolino already has a couple outs. Maben's up, and he pops him up. How about this? Justin Nicolino threw 7, 2 hits and a run, just 7 pitches. He's got a little more to go. The next Modelo Especial Marlins watch party is coming up on Wednesday, the 30th. Carolina Ale House in Doral. Marlins and Rays at 7:10. All kinds of stuff there. Autographed memorabilia, raffle prizes. Billy the Marlin, the Energy Team. And great specials on Modelo Especial throughout the game. Here it comes. Wait for it. Thank you. Well, Justin Nicolino has outlasted Julio Teheran. Matt Marksberry is in for the Braves. D. Gordon leads it off. Bottom 7. Christian Yelich, Martin Prado will follow.
When we saw Marksberry last night, he was effectively wild. Came up and in on a few hitters. The left-handers due up. In comes the lefty.
Gordon's average is dipped to 330 on a 0 for 3. Fastball rides in. Braves, with their reboot and their rebuilds, that has stretched into their bullpen as well. You almost forget about Craig Kimbrell. Liner into right. That's a base hit. All the big names that left is Gordon's got a hit. Upton, Gaddis, Hayward. Kimbrell was a shocker because that happened right before opening day.
Yeah, it was a last-minute deal. Kimbrell didn't make the Padres media guide. It happened so late. Number 194 for D. Gordon.
All right, he's at 332, so he's 7 back of Harper, who finished the night at 339. Harper had a walk-off double to win that game in extras against the Phillies for the Nationals.
Big night for Bryce Harper. And how about Strasburg? 8 innings, 13 strikeouts.
However, the post-game celebration, I'm sure, was muted and did not involve Hershey's chocolate sauce because they were eliminated from the postseason.
Boy, that's a borderline balk move. That's really close. But at least D. Gordon got a chance to get a look at it.
He's running. There's the throw to first, and he's picked off. Simmons drops it, picks it up, throws it, and Freeman tags him out. Gordon with a brief conversation with Dan Bellino. No balk.
Talking about the move, I mean, he steps. I mean, you gotta have a little step toward first. Halfway is about where he steps. It's as borderline as you can get away with. You might not get away with it with Bob Davidson. I mean, it looks like he's stepping into the dugout almost toward the plate.
One of the great tricks.
But if you can get away with it.
And I'll tell you, learned this one a long time ago. One of the great tricks for a left-handed pitcher on a move like that. You can step as far to the plate as you want, but watch where, if we could see it again, watch where his toe is pointed. It gives the illusion that he's actually stepping towards first. If you keep that toe bent towards first, you can get a little more leeway in where your foot actually lands. Yelich takes a strike. In the air to left. Michael Bourne, who's come in the game, makes the catch. right, Hut. Watch where his toes pointed.
Yeah, only a lefty could do that.
See, if you keep the toe pointed towards first, your foot can actually land a little closer to the plate. Braves make a pitching change. Mark Sperry's out. Kendall Toyota called to the pen. For the Braves, Atlanta is trying to keep it right at 2-1, and with 2 outs and nobody on, Brandon Caniff is in to face Martin Prado.
This is an interesting move. I mean, you had the left-hander out there. We got a couple of outs. You have Justin Bour on deck. Personally, I'd be more worried about Bour hitting a home run if he should hit in this inning than Martin Prado. So if Caniff doesn't get Prado, then he'll be facing Bour.
That's a big Caniff.
Or it could be a conundrum.
Prado's lined to center and to left and struck out.
This ballpark will always have nice memories for Caniff. He made his major league debut here. Second game of the season, April 7th.
Two and two. This was a Julio Teheran start. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Prado swings and misses, and Caniff won't have to face Bour. 8th inning rolls around. Justin Nicolino still in charge and up. Def highlights.
Well, not as many offensive highlights as last night, but a 92-mile-an-hour fastball taken deep off the bat of Justin Bour, number 21 on the year for Bour. 68 RBIs, 2-0 lead for the Marlins. The Braves in the third inning were able to peck away. Leadoff walk came in to score on a base hit from Nick Markakis, who has a 6-game hitting streak now. Cameron Maybin scoring the run. And trust me, that's been all the scoring tonight.
Well, Justin Nicolino ends up going 7. He's coming out for Kyle Barraclough. Nicolino, an interesting line. 7 innings, 2 hits, a run, 3 walks. He didn't strike anyone out, but a lot of bad contact tonight. And so Nicolino, who throws 80 pitches, is done for the night. Here's Kyle Barraclough.
Yeah, you could. It's a 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You could have tried to squeeze another inning out of Nicolino. You mentioned just 80 pitches, because you've got the bottom of the order, even though they made a double switch, but the batter hitting ninth is a left-handed batter.
And the batter hitting first, who is up third, is a lefty as well in Markakis.
So you've got a guy who doesn't play a lot, Lavarnway, leading off, and then 2 left-handed hitters.
But of course, you also have Nicolino, a young pitcher who's never pitched in September, who's got a high inning total.
He's exceeded his innings total from last year. And certainly the ones at this level are a lot different than the ones in AAA.
A little more stress.
Or AA. Yeah.
And the other issue you've got, and maybe this is a signal that AJ Ramos is good to go despite having worked in 3 consecutive games. Barraclough has worked in 2 of the last 3 games. Ramos keeping a low profile out there. I don't know if it's because his Texas Tech Red Raiders lost a tight one to TCU or not. Liner to center. Yelich right there, and he makes the catch.
Boy, he held his ground just right. That's a ball you might have a tendency to move in on. Might sink. Yelich got a great read. Just held his ground and came right to him.
Michael Bourne now came in that double switch. Braves pitchers are now in the 5 spot in Atlanta's order. Just over Barraclough's glove. Gordon backhands. Whoa! And that will be a throwing error. A base hit to begin with. The error will allow Bourne to go to second, and obviously Gordon didn't have a grip. That's the first error in about 2.5 months.
First error in 68 games. It's been that kind of defensive year. So just 5 errors on the year now for D. Gordon. And you're right, he tried to rush that. He knows Bourne can fly up the line. So he's trying to hurry that throw. And didn't have a good feel on it. And threw it into the seats.
It'll be the 3rd hit of the night for the Braves. And Bourne arrives at second. And that guy got the baseball. Now for Barraclough, Markakis, Daniel Castro. Markakis drove in a run with a single back in the 3rd. Now Markakis hasn't hit a lot of home runs, even though he homered last night. But he does have 37 doubles, and he's been on base a lot. His on base percentage, .370. D. Gordon on top of the list. Markakis right behind.
Yeah, they may not have envisioned Markakis as a leadoff man, but with that high on base percentage for the Braves this year anyway, fits the bill.
Four-year, $44 million contract for Markakis. Georgia native. After 9 years in Baltimore.
Yeah, he grew up playing in that very competition-filled East Cobb baseball, outside, in and outside of Atlanta.
Bearclaw rears back with the fastball. Three and two. The veteran Edwin Jackson. Lost him. So after 80 pitches of Justin Nicolino, the Marlins lift him for Bearclaw. An infield hit, now a walk. And he's got Castro, the second baseman. But then Freeman looms beyond. MLB.TV Premium. If you want to watch baseball in high definition on your iPad or your tablet or your phone or your watch, this is what you need. Just download it from the App Store. #1 live streaming sports service. And also get you an at-bat 15 subscription. Visit Marlins.com as well.
I haven't gone for the fancy watch yet. I know the new iPhone just came out.
I'm getting to the point where my vision is not good enough to even read my watch, let alone read my mail over my watch.
That's right, exactly.
Or watch a ball game. It's leaving me, Hut. It's leaving me little by little.
I can help you with that. I can give you advice.
Castro swings and misses. Castro swings and misses there. It's 0-2. Castro out of Mexico.
Really chased that slider off the plate there. Made his debut, his major league debut in mid-June with the Braves.
Tappers behind the plate. Real Muto trying to get it. And get it out somewhere on the diamond.
Yeah, he was thinking double play. Real Muto was thinking about picking that ball up, throwing the second to start the double play.
To line foul. 2-1 ball game. Last night all heck broke loose early when Jose Fernandez gave up 4 runs in the top of the first. And Miami came roaring back and got all 4 of them back. A 3-run homer by Justin Bour, and it was Bour that blasted a 2-run homer tonight in the first inning. But that's all Miami has on the night. The Braves got an RBI single by Markakis in the third, and that's all Atlanta has.
With this many runs in the top of the first. Yeah. After we blinked a couple of times last night.
Pitches out, scores of interest. The Dodgers are losing 6-2 to Colorado. Now we focus on home field advantage between the Dodgers and the Mets. The Mets won big. Lucas Duda, another huge game. 10-2, they beat Cincinnati. Matt Harvey got into the 7th, won his 13th game. Tapper up the line is foul.
A couple of Astros had big games. Rich, against the Astros beat the Rangers.
Let me guess. A couple of Astros have big games. I'll go with Dickie Thon
and Cesar Cedeno.
Now,
how about Jose Altuve, homered twice, and Carlos Correa, just the outstanding rookie. He'll probably be American League Rookie of the Year. 3 hits, 2 home runs.
How about Doug Rader? Did he play?
No, but I saw Doug Rader the other day.
Really?
Actually, the Marlins original hitting coach.
I believe he played for the Astros, but I'm just pulling that out of my memory.
No, he did. He was the Red Rooster.
Yes.
The terrific third baseman. 9th pitch coming to Castro.
Bearclaw wants to talk to Real Muto.
Doug Rader in those Astro years was with Larry Durker, who was pitching well and winning games.
Was he at Colt 45 in that outdoor stadium in Houston?
Not sure. I don't think so.
Those were the days of Jimmy Wynn, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
And Joe Morgan was an Astro back then. 1-2. Foul back. A good battle here between Bearclaw and Castro. And remember, you got Freddie Freeman on deck. Mike Dunn in Miami's pen. Breaking ball flipped out into left. Ichiro charges on and makes the catch.
Well, Bearclaw finally, after making a lot of good pitches that Castro fouled off, he finally made a really good one, and he had him way out in front for the easy fly ball. So a good battle on both sides, Castro and Bearclaw.
Dan Jennings on his way out. Bearclaw also on his way out after 7 innings of Justin Nicolino. Bearclaw gets 2 outs, but with the lefty up, Mike Dunn out of the pen. There it is, Kendall Toyota called to the pen. 7 hits for Miami. Mike Dunn is in. And it would not be a Marlins Braves matchup if it weren't included with this matchup. Dunn and Freeman.
Now, we saw this matchup last night, but Freddie Freeman drew the walk.
And I think they're scheduled to meet tomorrow at about 3:15 Eastern time. So here they are. First pitch slider for a strike. Freeman 0 for 2. Just one homer against a lefty this year.
Right-handed bat, Adonis Garcia on deck.
Two and one.
Freeman, one of the top hitters in the league with runners in scoring position. This isn't an easy situation. 376 this year with runners in scoring position.
Three and one. Now Nicolino, 80 pitches, 70 innings, or 7 innings, and here in the 8th, Barraclough faced 4 hitters. Brian Morris is up now. This is the 4th consecutive night that Dunn has worked, and he misses. So you rarely see a reliever work 4 nights in a row. Morris has worked 3 nights in a row. So you get into Morris and to Dunn. And
so what happens when you start doing this? 80 pitches Nicolino had thrown. 80 pitches. Now you're into your 3rd bullpen guy.
Now the bags are loaded, and Morris comes in to face Garcia. Gave up just the 1 run in his 7 innings of work. And now the third pitcher here in the 8th inning. And again, for Morris, it's his 4th consecutive appearance. For Dunn, 4 consecutive days. Bearclaw started the inning, gave up a hit, a walk, and did get a couple of outs. But it's Adonis Garcia with the bags loaded. I don't know if he's taking a nap or he just doesn't want to watch.
Kind of feels the way I do right now. Remember, he threw 7 pitches the last inning he pitched, too.
So here's Garcia and here's Morris. Morris faced 1 hitter last night, gave up a hit. And Garcia bangs one off his foot. A 96-mile-an-hour fastball sent right down into the foot. That never feels good. Will pop up. Bohr hustling to the rail. Count is 1-2.
Saw the pacing last night of Jose Fernandez in the dugout.
Now the 1-2. And he got him. So it took a while. It took 3 pitchers and 26 minutes. But the Marlins got out of that inning. And the Braves go without a run. It's 2-1. But it's Morris who finishes. Checkers brings you Marlins Live after the game. Nicolino, 7 really nice innings. Justin Bour, another home run. That's coming up after the ball game. Here's Bour, and he takes a slider from Kniff in. Bour with Marcell Ozuna and Ichiro due up. Miami trying to win their 68th game and get themselves closer to 70 wins. 3 in St. Pete against the Rays and 3 in Philly. And that finishes the schedule after tomorrow. Braves and Marlins at 1:10.
Well, it is going to be AJ again. Marlins trying to go 15-8 in September.
And Bour swings and misses. And it will be 4 consecutive days for AJ Ramos.
Kind of interesting, Rich, in my read, and it's not just the Marlins, it's contagious in baseball. Baseball is more concerned about starters' arms than relievers' arms.
Well, there's certainly more attention paid to a starter's workload in terms of innings.
But nowadays they don't go as far.
And Bour walks. So Justin Bour aboard for the 3rd time tonight. It's a single to go with a 2-run homer. And now Ozuna, who's 1 for 3. Marlins have been trying to add this extra run here for a while, and they've come close. They've had a man thrown out at the plate. They've left the bags loaded. Left 2 on in another inning. Cole Gillespie's going to run for Bour. So some fresh legs at first. Now Ozuna. And he swings and misses at a breaking ball.
Good job tonight from Justin Bour. The 2-run homer, a single. He'll think about the play at the plate on the Dietrich base hit.
Probably see Casey McGee at first base in the top of the 9th. But Gillespie can run. 1-1. To Marcell Ozuna, throw over. Well, Kniff right now not interested in throwing to the plate. Gillespie's lead isn't big enough to force him to dive in. He's able to get back in standing. Though you admire his persistence. Ozuna sends this one into center field. That's a hit. Maven picks it up. Now you've got Ichiro up with runners first and second. Real Muto is on deck, and There's a chance here that Ichiro will be bunting.
And you look down the road, if he's successful with the bunt and first base is open, they could walk Real Muto to get to Rojas and then the pitcher spot. So we'll see what Freddie Gonzalez has up his sleeve if in fact Ichiro drops down a good bunt, which more than likely he will.
Ichiro squares, drops it down. Lavarnway, there was nobody at third. Garcia had come down for the bunt. Lavarnway looked to throw to third, but Garcia was about 15 feet in front of the bag.
Probably had to play at third, but he was playing in to start with and came in when Ichiro showed bunt. See, he's in already and takes a couple of steps. By then, it's too late to get back. I think Lavarnway would have had a play had he been there. But either way, Ichiro gets the successful sacrifice bunt down.
All right, let's see how the Braves play it. If they walk Real Muto and bring up Rojas, you got the pitcher spot after that. You can always pinch hit McGee in that 9 spot if you're going to bring him in defensively. And so Real Muto gets an intentional walk. Rojas has been one of Miami's best hitters of late. He was intentionally walked back in the 6th and is 1 for 2, or excuse me, is 1 for 1. He walked his other at bat after a single in the 2nd. So here's Rojas. 4 for 5 in this series. And once again, the Marlins trying to add a run here, and they've come close, but it's been 3 or 4 times where they've knocked on the door and they have yet to get that run.
It's just waiting for that big hit to open things up.
Kniff misses out with a fastball. Braves infield is back for 2. Bags loaded. If he does hit a ground ball, one thing the Marlins have in their favor is Real Muto's not being held at first, and he has speed, and if you wanted to pick a guy for a takeout slide, it'd probably be he or Derek Dietrich.
And he can get off as far as Freeman is.
That just catches a corner.
Well, you talk about a contrast. Last night the Marlins were 10 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Tonight 0 for 5.
Gillespie at third. Ozuna second. Real Muto first. Good take by Rojas on the 2-1 breaking ball.
That's another area of his offense that I'm sure he has worked on, because he was always known good glove, not much of a bat, and he chased a lot of pitches. But yeah, you're right. That was a great take there.
A mighty rip there, and it's fold out 3-2.
Take guy who'd really like to see a run or two right now is A.J. Ramos in the bullpen. Just a little cushion.
Jose Urena is up in case the Marlins get a larger cushion. And he walked him. And there, finally, is that extra run.
That is always the position you put yourself in. And Freddie Gonzalez knows it. Any manager knows it. If you walk the bases loaded, you put pressure on that pitcher to throw strikes. And give credit to Miguel Rojas for having a good at bat and having a good eye.
Now McGee against a struggling Brandon Caniff. Breaking ball, McGee lines it left field, falls for a hit. Ozuna will score. Right behind him is Real Muto. The throw gets by everyone. Throw down to third. Rojas is safe, and McGee delivers 2 runs with a pinch hit single.
Everybody did a great job base running, not to mention a good swing by Casey McGee on a breaking ball. Watch Real Muto. He goes halfway, gets a great jump. Ozuna had to go back to tag up, which he did, and then on the poor throw.
That was an Andrelton Simmons throw,
which is rare. But good job. Ozuna went back to tag up. Real Muto had a better angle. He was the runner at second. He was right on Ozuna's back.
and a big hit by McGee, and all of a sudden it's a 5-1 game. As chased across 3 insurance runs. Casey McGee, first pitch breaking ball, and he jumped on it. Danny Barawa.
I was going to say, Rich, we saw Danny Barawa last night, which we did, but then again, we saw just about everybody out of both bullpens.
Now Gordon, infield drawn in. Rojas at third, McGee at second. That one almost gets Gordon down by the feet. That's 1-0.
D. Gordon with a base hit his last time up.
.332 average. Gordon sends it to center. That's deep enough to drive home a run. Rojas tags, McGee tags, and Rojas will score. And a sacrifice fly for D. Gordon. Miami stretches their lead now to 6-1.
We have seen D. Gordon on numerous occasions in that situation drive a ball pretty well to the outfield, certainly deep enough to score a run. So terrific job on his part to just get a little bit more.
Yelich takes a strike. Christian Yelich tonight, 1 for 3. Well, the extra runs mean that, at least for the start of the inning, Miami can avoid having to bring Ramos in for the 4th consecutive game.
Sometimes perception is not reality, but in talking about D. Gordon, that was his 5th sacrifice fly this year. That's a career high.
Yelich would count even at 2-2. Miami has won 6 of their last 7 series. They win this ball game, they win this series, and they continue an outstanding September. The best record in the National League since the 31st of August. Second best in the majors to Texas, who's had a mercurial climb up the West in the American League from, I want to say, 4.5 back to a nice comfortable lead over the Texas Rangers, or excuse me, over the Houston Astros. 3-2 to Yelich. McGee still at second. Slow tapper to short. Simmons on the move, just gets him. And the inning ends, but Miami puts 4 big ones up on the board. 6-1 Miami going to the 9th. Dealers by Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. Roof is open tonight. Marlins Park. Crowd at just under 25,000 here. And it is Urania who enters.
The one thing, Rich, you really want to see here, you want to see Urania have himself a nice inning, not have to worry about having to get A.J. Ramos heated again. He was throwing in the bullpen, so yes, he's appeared in 4 games, but remember, 4 games in a row, he had to heat up tonight, and you would hate to have him have to do that again. Casey McGee with that big base hit. He stays in the game at first base.
Justin Bour looking on, and the Braves will bring Jace Peterson off the bench. He'll pinch hit to open up the 9th. Andrelton Simmons, Cameron Maben, also scheduled to appear. Peterson a chance to play a lot this year. Coming over from the Padres. He was able to get to the big leagues last year with San Diego.
One of those young infielders, along with Trey Turner, both in the San Diego organization.
Yeah, I mean, you hope if you're San Diego, you don't get a year or two out and watch both those guys end up being really good everyday players, and see Jed Jerko still struggling at second base. The Braves sure like Peterson. 144 games, 23 doubles, 6 homers, 5 triples. Fouls that one back. You would think that his next go round next year, a little wiser, a little bit better idea of what to expect when he hits spring training. That, and you talk to guys like Freddie Gonzalez or any scout GM, is something you hope for a guy like Peterson, who is, or even a JT Realmuto, who's getting his first real chance to play on a somewhat everyday basis in the big leagues. What happens between that year and the next year?
Yeah, it's just not automatic. I mean, we've seen a lot of players make that transition and improve, and over the years you've seen many that haven't. I think the Giants are pleased with Joe Panic, with his improvement, what he's done.
Matt Duffy,
yes,
guy that has come up and done well. Peterson walks. This is the scenario that you touched upon. It hasn't happened yet, but if Urania puts a couple, maybe 3 Braves on, all of a sudden you've got to get Ramos up. And Dan Jennings would love to avoid him at all costs here. Simmons an 0 for 3 and 1 for 8. It's odd to watch the Braves and the Marlins play without Echeverria and Simmons. They always seem to raise their level when they play against each other. Echeverria, and we keep hearing, is days away, and hopefully that day comes soon. Slow tapper up the line. That's going to be a base hit. And so a walk and a swinging bunt. And a 5-run lead. Here comes Maben.
Yeah, there's no defense for this. No play at all.
Maven's night, a single, a walk, and a pop out. This was a Justin Nicolino start and a nifty one. 7 innings, a run on 2 hits. He left after 80 pitches. 3 relievers worked that 8. Kyle Barraclough, Mike Dunn, and Brian Morris. And now after the 4-run 8th, Miami's got Urania in there trying to prevent Ramos from having to get up and heat up again. He's already been up. A 1. Maven cracks one into center field. That's a hit. Braves will get a run here. Peterson races home. And here comes Lavarnway. It's 6-2, and the tying run is on deck.
It's been a nice night for Cameron Maven. A walk, 2 base hits. This RBI, 2 for 3 night. And you guessed it, AJ Ramos warming up again.
So here's Lavarnway, who's 0 for 3. Urania doesn't have an out yet. And he misses in with a fastball. Michael Bourne, Nick Markakis are the hitters that follow Lavarnway. And then you get into Castro, Freeman, Garcia. Outside court, it's 1-2. So Urania gets the first out. By the way, Lavarnway getting the start. AJ Pierzynski with a bruised shoulder from last night. So here's Bourne, who had an infield hit back in the 8th.
Yeah, if not for that, you probably would have seen Pierzynski pinch hit there.
Oh, 2. All of a sudden, Urania seems to have found his groove. Bourne in the air to left. That would be Ichiro out there.
A guy that has the arm that Jose Urania has, you want to just pound into his head. Throw the ball hard and over the plate. You got good stuff. You can get hitters out at this level. Don't think, don't try to pitch, don't try to do all this. Almost like what they've talked to Adam Conley about. Just throw as hard as you can. This guy's a starter. He's got good stuff.
Markakis now. A 1 for 3 night. He walked his last AB. Justin Nicolino in line for the win. It would be his 4th, and that little tapper. Gordon has it, gets the out. Ball game. Miami wins it 6-2, and the Marlins have taken the first 2 of this 3-game set. They've now won 7 of their last 8 series. How about that? Justin Bourne, Rand Eye Vision Cam. That's the swing of the game right there. And it was early. It was in the first. And for Bohr, he homers in his second straight game. 21 on the season, 68 driven in just 123 games for Justin Bohr. Marlins Live is right around the corner. 6-2. Miami wins it. Stick around.